Do me a favor. Look at the back of your hand. Right now. You see skin, texture, light hitting your eye. It feels instant. It feels like now. But you are wrong. That light hitting your retina didn't just travel across the room. Some of those photons traveled from the sun, some from a bulb. Some traveled for billions of years from a dying star just to end their journey on your skin. We say that journey took time. We say it took 8 minutes for light to leave the sun and hit Earth. We say it took 13 billion years for the light of distant galaxies to reach our telescopes. We measure that time. We count it. But here is the part that will keep you awake tonight. If you could ask that photon, that single particle of light, how long its journey took, it wouldn't say 8 minutes. It wouldn't say 13 billion years. It would say 0. To a photon, time does not exist. It is born and it dies in the exact same instant. Inside that particle, the clock is frozen. The universe has no width. The beginning of time and the end of time are touching. How is that possible? And if time stops for light, why is it moving for you? Let me show you. Everyone knows the number, 299,792,458 meters per second. We call it the speed limit of the cosmos, the ultimate barrier. But ask yourself, why that number? Why isn't it infinite? Why doesn't light just appear everywhere instantly? Or why isn't it slower, like sound? Most people think c stands for the speed of light. Wrong. Light is just a passenger. Light is just the thing that makes the limit visible. The limit exists without the light. Think of the universe like a massive, high-end video game. When you press a button to move your character, the computer needs a tiny fraction of a second to calculate the new position. It needs to render the geometry, to update the physics. It can't happen instantly. There is a lag, a processing delay. The speed of light is essentially the refresh rate of reality. It is the maximum speed at which cause can talk to effect. Here's where your intuition falls off a cliff. Do this right now. Close your eyes and imagine the sun just vanished. Snap. Gone. What happens? Nothing. For 8 minutes and 20 seconds, the sky is still bright. You still feel warm. But it's weirder than that. The Earth would keep orbiting an empty patch of black space. Gravity travels at the speed of light, too. The information that the mass is gone hasn't reached us yet. The update patch for the universe hasn't downloaded. We are living in the past of the sun. If you could travel faster than light, you would break the game. You would arrive before you left. You would see the glass shatter before you dropped it. You could kill your grandfather before you were born. The universe hates paradoxes. It detests them. So it built a wall, a hard mathematical wall at 299,792,458 meters per second. Nothing with mass can touch it. Only massless things, like photons, can ride exactly on the line. So stop calling it the speed of light. Call it the speed of causality. But this creates a terrifying problem. A specific mechanism keeps you from hitting that wall. And to understand it, you have to realize that you are currently moving at the speed of light right now, just not in the direction you think. Let me show you the trade-off. You are sitting in a chair. You feel stationary. Wrong. You are currently hurtling through the universe at the maximum possible velocity. You are moving at the speed of light right now. I know. That sounds insane. You look at your hands. They aren't blurring. You aren't crushing atoms. But here is the secret Einstein discovered in 1905. It's the one concept that makes special relativity click. We don't live in just space. We live in space-time. Think of space-time as a map with 4 directions: left, right, up, down, and future. Here is the rule. Everything in the universe, you, me, a rock, a beam of light, is always moving through space-time at exactly c, always, constant speed. You cannot slow down, you cannot speed up, but you can steer. Imagine you are driving a car across a flat desert. The gas pedal is welded to the floor. The car is stuck going exactly 100 miles per hour. If you drive due north, you are making maximum progress toward the north, but you are making 0 progress to the east. Now turn the wheel. Start driving northeast. You are still doing 100 miles per hour total, but now your speed to the north drops to 70 miles per hour, so you can travel east. You had to trade your progress in the north to buy speed in the east. This is the trade-off the universe forces you to make. In this analogy, north is time, east is space. When you are sitting still in your chair, your car is pointed directly north. You are moving through time at the maximum speed. You are aging as fast as possible. But the moment you stand up and walk, you turn the wheel. You divert some of that time velocity into space velocity. Because your total speed through space-time must remain constant, if you move through space, you must slow down your movement through time. This is why astronauts on the ISS age slightly slower than you. They are moving fast through space, so they have less budget left over for time. Wait, if you keep turning the wheel, if you divert more and more speed into space, eventually you are driving due east. You are moving through space at the maximum limit. That means your speed through time must drop to 0. That is what a photon does. It puts 100% of its velocity budget into space. It has absolutely nothing left for time. So why can't you do that? Why can't you just slam the accelerator and become light? Because there is a monster waiting at the end of the graph. Let's do a thought experiment. Imagine you're in a spaceship, a good one. It has infinite fuel. It has an engine that never overheats. You push the throttle forward. You accelerate. 10% of light speed, 50%, 90%. So far, so good. You feel heavy, but the ship holds together. Now you push to 99%. Strange things start happening. The stars ahead of you turn blue. The universe seems to shrink. But inside the ship, nothing changes. Your clock ticks normally. Your coffee pours down. So you push harder, 99.9%. This is where the universe plays its cruelest joke. To go faster, you need energy, kinetic energy. E equals mc squared. But here is the equation they don't teach you in high school. The full equation for moving objects. E equals 1 minus c2 v2 mc squared. See that square root at the bottom? As your velocity v gets closer and closer to light speed c, that bottom number gets closer and closer to 0. And what happens when you divide by 0? The answer explodes to infinity. To go from 99.9% to 99.99% takes a huge amount of energy. To go from 99.99% to 99.999% takes even more. To reach 100%, to actually touch the speed of light, you would need infinite energy. More energy than exists in every star, every galaxy, every black hole combined. The mass of your spaceship would become infinite. You would become a black hole. The universe literally prevents you from doing it. It puts up a mathematical wall that says, you have mass, you cannot pass. This is the moment the math starts screaming at us. Only something with 0 mass can travel at light speed. Because if m equals 0, the equation doesn't blow up, it works. A photon has no mass. It doesn't need infinite energy. It just is. It doesn't accelerate. It is born moving at c. It never speeds up, never slows down. It exists only at the limit. And because it is at the limit, because it is moving entirely through space, it is not moving through time at all. And that changes everything about how it sees the universe. Imagine you are light. You are a single photon born in the fusion core of the sun. You bounce around inside the sun for thousands of years. But forget that part for a second. Focus on the moment you break free. You hit the surface. You escape. You are now flying towards Earth. To us, standing on the ground, we see you coming. We measure your speed. We say, okay, distance is 150 million kilometers. Speed is 300,000 kilometers per second. Therefore, time equals 8 minutes and 20 seconds. That's what we measure. That's what our clocks say. But what does your clock say? Nothing. You don't have a clock. You can't have a clock, because at the speed of light, time dilation is infinite. To you, the moment you leave the surface of the sun and the moment you hit the retina of a human eye are the exact same moment. 0 seconds pass. There is no journey. There is no flight. There is no travel. If you could think, you would experience birth and death simultaneously. The entire 150 million kilometers vanishes. Wait, don't gloss over that. Read it again. If the journey takes 0 time for you, did you even travel? Did you move? How can you cross a distance of 0 in a time of 0? Mathematically, your velocity becomes 0, 0, undefined. The universe breaks down. To a photon, the concept of distance is a joke. The universe isn't a vast empty void to light. It's a single point. All of space, from the Big Bang to the end of time, is compressed into a single instant. But if space is 0 for light, why does it look so big to us? Why do we see stars billions of light years away if the light thinks it's right next door? Nobody explains this part, but it's the most important key. It all comes down to length contraction, and it's going to make you question the size of the room you're sitting in. Here's the thing about speed. It doesn't just warp time, it warps space. This is length contraction. The faster you move through space, the shorter the distance in front of you becomes. If you fly a spaceship at 87% of the speed of light towards a star 10 light years away, to you, inside the ship, the distance isn't 10 light years, it's only 5. Space itself physically shrinks. If you hit 99.5% speed, the distance shrinks to 1 light year. You cover that 1 light year in just over a year of your time. To Earth, it took 10 years, but to you, the trip was short. Now let's break the laws of physics for a second. What happens if you hit 100%, if you hit c? The length contraction formula is L equals of L, 0, to by 1 minus c to v2. When v equals of c, that term inside the square root becomes 0. L equals a 0. The distance becomes 0. To a photon leaving a distant galaxy 13 billion light years away, the distance to your telescope is exactly 0 meters. The entire universe along its path, billions of miles of empty void, dust clouds, galaxies, collapses into a single point. The photon is not traveling across the universe. For the photon, the emitter, the star, and the absorber, your eye, are touching. It is instantaneous transmission. From the photon's perspective, it doesn't move. The universe moves around it. It exists in a 2D plane of pure instantaneity. It has no depth, no forward or backward, just here and now. So we see a universe that is 93 billion light years wide. The photon sees a universe with 0 width. We are trapped in 3D space with time. Light is trapped in 2D space without time. But this creates a massive paradox. Wait, if time stops for a photon, if it experiences zero duration, how does it have a frequency? Frequency is cycles per second. If a photon has no seconds, how can it be red or blue or a radio wave? How can it vibrate if time is frozen? This is where quantum mechanics punches relativity in the face. Stop and think. Light is a wave. It wobbles. It oscillates. Red light wobbles 400 trillion times a second. Blue light wobbles 700 trillion times a second. A second. We just established that a photon experiences 0 seconds. So how can it wobble 400 trillion times in 0 seconds? That's infinite speed. That's nonsense. If time stops for the photon, its frequency should be undefined. Its wavelength should be 0. Its energy should be infinite. It should break physics. Here's the part nobody tells you. The photon doesn't see itself waving. To a photon, it is frozen, a static field, a permanent electric and magnetic arrow pointing in one direction. It doesn't oscillate. It doesn't cycle. It doesn't experience frequency. The frequency isn't a property of the photon. It's a property of the relationship between you and the photon. It's like driving past a picket fence. If you are standing still, the fence is just wood. It has no frequency. But if you drive past it at 60 miles per hour, thwack, 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 thwack. Now the fence has a frequency. You hear a tone. The faster you drive, the higher the pitch. The fence didn't change. You did. Light works the same way. The photon is the fence. It just sits there in space-time, stretching from the star to your eye in a single timeless line. But you are moving through time. You are sweeping past the photon's frozen field. And because you are moving through time, you experience the static field as a wave. You see it wiggle. You measure a frequency. If you move towards the light, you sweep past it faster. The frequency goes up. Blue shift. If you move away, you sweep past it slower. The frequency goes down. Red shift. The photon doesn't care. It's just existing. It's your motion through time that creates the illusion of oscillation. This means color isn't real. It's an artifact of your own timeline crashing into the light's timeline. So if light is timeless, if it's just a static connection between points, why are we stuck here? Why do we feel time drag on, second by agonizing second? Because we are heavy. We are cursed with mass. And mass is a prison. Try to push your hand through the air. Easy. Now, push it through water. Harder. Now, push it through honey. Even harder. This is the Higgs field. It permeates the entire universe. It's everywhere. In this room. In outer space. In your body. The Higgs field is the cosmic molasses. When particles like electrons and quarks try to move through it, they get stuck. They drag. They acquire mass. This drag is literally what mass is. Light doesn't feel the Higgs field. It slips right through. No drag, no mass, no time. But you are made of electrons and quarks. You are dragging through the Higgs molasses every second of your life. This drag forces you to slow down through space. And because you slow down in space, you must speed up through time. Remember the trade-off? If you move at c through space, you move at 0 through time. But because you have mass, you are forced to move at less than c through space. So the universe forces you to dump all your remaining speed into the time dimension. You are hurtling into the future at a terrifying rate because the Higgs field won't let you stop. Think about this. Time is literally just the speed you are forced to travel because you are too heavy to move through space at the speed of light. If you could turn off the Higgs field right now, every atom in your body would instantly accelerate to c. You would become light. You would explode into a burst of pure energy. Your consciousness would vanish. time would stop. The universe would collapse to a single point. But you can't. You are trapped in the slow lane. And because you are trapped, you experience a now, a then, a later. But for the photon, there is no later. There is no before. And this leads to the most disturbing realization of all. If light sees the beginning and the end of its journey as simultaneous, does the past still exist? Does the future already exist? The answer is yes, and it's called the block universe. Try to wrap your head around this. To a photon, the Big Bang and the heat death of the universe are touching. It was emitted in the first second of creation. It is absorbed at the end of time. It sees those two events as the same moment. But wait, if the beginning and the end happen simultaneously for light, then the middle, where we are right now, must also exist simultaneously. This is the block universe theory. Imagine a movie reel. You watch it frame by frame. You see the hero walk into a room. You see him open a door. You see him find the treasure. That is your experience of time, one frame after another. But the entire reel exists at once. If you unspool the film, you can see the beginning, middle, and end all laid out on the floor. The future frame is already printed on the celluloid. The past frame is still there. The photon is the unspooled film. It sees the whole story at once. We are just the projector light, shining through one tiny sliver of the film at a time. We call it now. But now is an illusion. Your birth, your death, every moment in between, they all exist simultaneously in the 4D block of space-time. The photon doesn't travel through the movie. It is the movie. It connects the past to the future instantly. This means that from a certain perspective, your future has already happened. The light from a star that will explode in 1,000,000 years is already on its way. The photon already knows it hit your eye. The information is already encoded in the geometry of the universe. We just haven't watched that frame yet. So, if the future is already written, do we have free will? If the photon sees the end of the movie, can we change the script? That's a question for philosophers. But physics has one final answer for us, and it's beautiful. Because even if the script is written, you are the only one who gets to watch the movie. So here we are, stuck, trapped in time, moving forward at 1 second per second, dragging our heavy, massive bodies through the cosmic molasses, while the photons zip past us, timeless and free. They connect the beginning of the universe to the end. They stitch the cosmos together. When you look up at the night sky, you aren't just seeing distant stars, you are seeing the past. But the light hitting your eye is experiencing the present. The photon that traveled for 13 billion years, to you, it is an ancient messenger, a ghost. But to the photon, it just left the surface of that primordial star. It is young, it is fresh, it is instant. It carries the memory of the early universe, perfectly preserved across an eternity of nothingness. And when it hits your eye, when it is absorbed by a molecule in your retina, that energy becomes a signal, a thought, a feeling. Wow! In that moment, you are connected to the Big Bang. You are touching the birth of time itself. The photon dies so you can see. It gives up its timeless existence to become a part of your temporal one. So the next time you feel small, the next time you feel like the universe is too big, too old, too empty, remember the photon. Remember that inside a single particle of light there is no distance, there is no time. The universe is intimate, it is immediate, it is all happening right now. and you are the only one who gets to watch it unfold. The speed of light isn't the limit, it's a promise that no matter how far apart we are in space or in time, we are connected instantly. We are all touching. We are all one. I'll see you in the next frame.